What's up, guys? Welcome to your 177th Android tutorial for the new Boston. And finally, we're going to see our triangle on our emulator. I know I've been telling you guys that a few times, but hopefully we'll be able to go through this tutorial pretty quickly so we can see our triangle there. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up this method on surface change. Again, this is our renderer class. And we need to set up the viewport. We need to know how big our viewport needs to be, and that's why it passes in this width and this height. So we're going to reference those to create our viewport and all that good stuff. So again, we're going to refer to the GL10 object that's being passed in. We're just going to say GL viewport, and it takes X and a Y and also a width and height. So our initial X is going to be 0 and our initial Y is going to be 0, which will be the bottom left corner of the emulator, and then it's going to go over to the width that we're getting passed in into the height. So that's basically going to set up everything that we have available to us. Our whole activity screen is going to be full. That's going to be our viewport. And then we're going to create a ratio of the width divided by the height, and I'll show you why we're going to need that, but it's going to be a float, and we're just going to call this ratio. Set this equal to float value, passing as a float, and then we're just going to say width divided by height. And so again, that's just a ratio of our width to our height, because when our device changes, we want to have the ratio the same, whether it be in portrait or in landscape mode. So that's what we're going to need this ratio for. We're also going to set up what matrix mode we want, and we're just going to say GL matrix mode, and we're going to set this equal to, again, GL10 object or GL10 class dot GL underscore projection. And that's just kind of the way that we want to view it. We want it to be a projection of some sort. And then when we create this kind of a GL matrix mode, all we need to do is we gotta say GL load or identity. We just need to say GL load identity, and that's going to refer to kind of this method here. And then just quickly, we want to tell kind of give reference of how big our viewport is in 3 dimensions, because let's say we don't want to load all of our objects, so if we're like this close, we want the square to load, or a triangle I should say, but if that goes far enough out of the screen, we're just gonna not let that render, so we're gonna save some performance. So we need to set like how far in the Z direction we want our object to be seen. How we do that is we're going to say GL frustrum F as in float, and what we're going to do is we're going to say for the left value we're going to say our negative ratio that we set up, our right value our ratio, our bottom we're going to say -1, for top value we're going to say just for example 0.5. Our near Z is again the Z direction, how big we want that box to be that loads stuff within it, so we're going to say 1. This is going to basically be from the reference of where our camera's at. So it's going to be 1 is the starting point, and how far away from the camera is what we want the Z far to be. So we're going to set that to like 25. So if our camera gets 25 away, then it's going to not load it. And we just have to say this is a float value here, and there we go. So basically what this frustrum is doing is it's telling the left value, the right value, bottom and top, all that good stuff. And again, the left value we're using the ratio because again, if we switch from landscape to portrait, we want to kind of have that left and that right value the same according to which view we're in. So that's why we set up that ratio as well. And actually, I'm sorry guys, but we'll finish this up in the next tutorial because I know it's getting kind of long. I just want to give you guys again a quick overview of what we've done within this on surface change. Again, we just set our viewport, so basically our whole screen is going to be our viewport, or our whole activity I should say. And again, it's starting with GL. The bottom left corner is the 0, 0 position, and unlike when we did like the canvas drawing, which the top left corner was 0, 0. So keep that in mind when you're working with GL or OpenGL. And then what we did is we set up a ratio to kind of handle what happens when the person changes their phone from portrait to landscape, and we're going to use this ratio later to define the frustrum, which is going to be basically our viewing area where it's going to load all of our you know, shapes or triangles or whatever. And if it goes out of this kind of box surrounding those triangles, then it's not going to be able to see. Well, we'll get into that later, a little bit more in depth in the next tutorial when we actually see the triangle. I said we'd do it again in this tutorial, but you know, that's probably going to be it for now. So watch the next tutorial, and I promise you guys we'll render it in there, and I'll catch you guys then. Have a good one.